Like whatever goal weight you express to somebody, half the people it's going to be too low, half the people it's going to be too high. Maybe 1 in a million is going to say, oh, that makes perfect sense to me. How can I support you?
This is On Nutrition, a podcast from Mayo Clinic where we dig into the latest nutrition trends and research to help you understand what's health and what's hype. I'm Tara Schmidt, a registered dietitian with Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. This episode, support systems. Some people look to their partners for support when they're trying to make a big change. Others may look to a family member or friend. Or some may seek out a support group of strangers, simply going through the same thing. We know it's a lot easier to make a health change when you're not in it alone. But how do you identify those people who are going to show up for you? And how can you better show up for yourself? This episode, I'm joined by Dr. Matt Clark. He's a psychologist at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, who specializes in behavior change to help people improve their health and quality of life. He also leads bariatric surgery and weight management support groups at Mayo Clinic, and we've even led some groups together over the years. Hi, Dr. Clark. Thanks for being on the podcast today. I think I told you about this a long time ago, so I'm glad I finally nailed you down.
Well, good morning to you, and thank you for the invitation.
Of course. To start, why is it so hard to make a change? Even if it's something we actively want to do, these are things we know we should do. Why is change so hard?
If only we knew the answer to that question.
You'd be retired by now.
But personally, we all know it. In the past, it was thought if we just knew what to do, we would make the changes. This is years ago. Maybe people weren't aware that getting a certain amount of steps per day was healthy for them. If we can just tell people, hey, just get in your 10,000 steps a day, well, then, of course, everybody's going to hit that mark. But knowledge doesn't always mean we're going to change. It's a lot more complex than that.
And that actually comes up when I talk about obesity bias. When we just tell someone what to do, like eat less, move more, in obesity itself, it can actually come off as a kind of bias because we're assuming that the person doesn't know what to do. We're not getting at the heart of the problem.
A number of years back, we did a random telephone survey. People that were overweight knew they were overweight. Nobody was surprised. Oh my gosh, I'm 40 pounds overweight. Thanks for telling me. Let me just add something else to what makes this difficult. A concept that I've heard recently at conferences is practice. So we all believe in practice. So maybe every night for the last 17 years, I've been practicing snacking while I'm watching TV. Well, I've gotten pretty good at it. So can I just change that in a week? No, I've been practicing it a long time. So how long we've been doing our behaviors, I think, has an impact.
What are some of the psychological traits you notice in people that are kind of predictors of success, especially for those people who are successful losing weight?
I do a lot of groups, as you know. We used to do a group together. Years ago, someone in my group said, I bet you've figured out who's going to do well and who's not going to do well. And I said, actually, I have no idea. Back in graduate school, we did look at personality characteristics.
Oh.
Just haven't found anything that really predicts how people do in terms of weight management. So I look at other concepts now. One is just, how is my mood? And we all have up and down days. But if I'm experiencing a low-grade depression or depression, how am I going to be able to change my weight? I'm eating my comfort foods to make myself feel better. I can't get myself going to be physically active. So if there's untreated depression there, it's going to make change difficult. The other thing is stress. And we all struggle with stress at different times. But what we find is if we're stressed, unhealthy eating, and we're not exercising. Even though exercise is one of the best things for stress, when we're stressed, I don't have the time, so I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to go for a walk. So stress level and mood is something that I look at. And then there's now an area called motivational interviewing. And what that's about is, in order to be successful to make a change, one, I have to be motivated. So why would I want to lose weight? Am I going to be healthier? I'm going to be able to do things with my family. I'm going to have more energy. But I also have to be confident. I've tried 10 times to lose weight in the past, and every time I've just gained more weight. So yeah, it's great. You just told me about this meal plan that I can follow, but I have no confidence that I can follow it. So I'm not even going to try.
How do you feel like self-talk plays a role in people's ability to make a health change. I think most of us have self-talk. I have a feeling a lot of it's negative for those of us who have tried and not feel like we've been successful. Do you feel like positive self-talk is one of the key components to success?
I would agree that what we say to ourselves is super important. This example I give in group. You're not a baseball or softball player. Don't worry, we'll put you out in right field because no one hits to right field. So first batter up, it's a fly ball, goes sailing over your head. You have two coaches. One coach is screaming at you from the dugout. You're the laziest, worthless, most pathetic person I've ever seen. Don't you dare let that happen again. Coach B says, it's really difficult to judge where these pop flies go. Just play really deep. If it does go that far, do your best to catch it. If it lands in front of you, scoop it up, and let's see if we can stop the runner at second. Then I ask people, if you had to pick your coach, who would you pick? If you don't say B, you're staying after the group today. Most people say B, right? When you talk to yourself, which coach are you? And most people say A.
100%.
So with weight, that really applies, right? When I just overate, how do I talk kind to myself, pick myself up, get going again? Sometimes people think, oh, I have to be saying to myself, oh, it's all sunshine and beauty today. Well, if I've got a big project at work that's due tomorrow, it's okay for me to say to myself, you know what, this is a big challenge and I better buckle down and get some help. So when I think of positive thinking, it's what helps us be successful in reaching our goals. And negative thinking, it's those things that kind of sabotage us.
What are some of those negative thinking patterns that we should look out for?
For weight, a couple of thinking traps that people fall into. One is all or nothing. I want to lose weight, so guess what? I just give up sweets. Well, it's somebody's birthday. I have a piece of cake. I totally blew it. I might as well just give up. I know a lot of people who have lost weight and kept it off, but I don't know anyone who doesn't say, once in a while I just mess up. We also think people try to do too much too quickly.
Absolutely.
So in my groups, I'll ask people, what's the most outrageous goal you've set for yourself? And it can be anything from, I want to lose 10 pounds by next Friday, to I'm going to follow a really restrictive, low calorie diet, to I'm going to go to the gym 2 hours twice per day for the next 7 weeks. And what we think is smaller steps just help people get going.
And what role does social support play once you've decided to take those smaller steps?
So first of all, we are social humans. And so just being socially connected, having a social support is so important in life. American Psychological Association's done a number of studies. And just if you ask someone, what's your quality of life, 0 to 10, and you ask someone, what's your support system, 0 to 10, most people, those numbers are just really similar. The opposite, which I think we all learned about in the pandemic, is feeling lonely is not a good way to feel. And there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. Maybe I have a job where I'm interacting with customers all day long. You know what? When I'm done with work, I just want to go for a walk by myself. I am alone, but I am not feeling lonely.
I have small kids. I love being alone. I love going to the grocery store alone. It feels like a vacation, but I'm not lonely per se.
Yes, big difference, right? I'm not feeling lonely, and I'm actually grateful that I'm alone right now. Support is a big predictor of success. It's all what works for me. So some people are very social and I just want to be around people all day and talk all day. Other people are like, I like to be alone. I like to have some downtime. So part of this is just figuring out what works for me. But that connection to humanity is pretty important.
Change is hard for pretty much everyone, but how you think and talk to yourself makes a difference. No matter where you are in your journey, it's important to treat yourself with compassion and kindness and avoid all or nothing thinking or trying to do too much at once. Seeking treatment for depression and managing stress can also help remove barriers to change. But we don't live in a vacuum. Other people play a huge role in our self-worth, our decisions, and our motivation. So let's talk about how to harness the superpower of social support. What are the different kinds of support that can help people make a change?
So some may want support from an expert, some people who are solo changers or people who benefit from your groups, for example.
If I'm going to start a project at work, I start thinking about who are the different types of people that I need to help me be successful with this. So maybe I'm doing a research project. Okay, I need a statistician. Okay, I need a physician involved. Okay, I need a study coordinator. With weight management, a lot of times people just think, what do I need to do to be successful? And that's great, but who's on your team? And different types of people give us different types of support. So one of the things a lot of times people don't think about is what kind of healthcare clinician can be on my weight management team. It can be primary care nurse that I'm working with, primary care physician, dietitian, personal trainer I'm working with, but some kind of healthcare clinician that gets how important this is to me and will support me in the journey. So that's one type of support, which is different than the kind of support I'll get from a friend, sibling, person. They're both important, but they're different. And then when we live with people, our eating habits tend to be similar to them. And so if I can get support from my significant others, is a term I use, is the people that are living in my household. So if I can get the people I'm living with to be supportive, if I can get a friend to be supportive, if I can get my primary care physician to be supportive, now I'm building that support team that is probably going to help me be successful.
And when it comes to family, friends, significant others, what are some of the roles those people can play?
There's different kinds of support. Sometimes it's practical. I'm moving tomorrow. I need you there to help pack up some boxes and carry some boxes. Other times it's emotional. I just had a challenging day. I just want to vent. People have different strengths. If I ask someone whose strengths are more practical support, they'd meet me early in the morning to go for a walk, and I'm venting to them about how challenging it is to have just gained weight, they might not give me that emotional support that I'd want. So before I ask for help, what kind of help do I need? And what skill set does this person have?
How can you explain to the people in your life how you want them to be supportive? Because I feel like I see in weight management, especially in health goals and exercise goals, that everyone has good intentions, but they're not necessarily doing the right things. So Dr. Grothy has this example of a husband who bought his wife cookies because she loved cookies and said, I wanted to show you how much I love you. I bought you these. And she's like, I was trying to lose weight. You're sabotaging me.
So what we think is, if I believe that this person actually has my best interests, let me ask them for help. And let me ask them in a way, losing weight is really important to me. I really want to see my blood pressure come down. Your support would be really helpful. And here's an idea of how you could help me. How does that sound to you? And to be specific.
Can I give some examples in the nutrition field, if that's okay?
Oh, go right ahead.
So I'm thinking of practical support or just kind of wanting someone on your team. I'm really trying to walk more, Dr. Clark. Would you go on a walk with me over lunch today? Or can we take a walking meeting instead of doing it via Zoom? I know that we really love to have donuts on Sunday mornings, but I'm trying to cut back. Do you mind not buying my favorite kind? Or buy the kind that I don't like, please. Or don't buy them at all. Let's talk about something else that's special that we can do as a family on Sunday morning. Or even, because I feel like time is a big barrier in terms of exercise. I'd really love to get to the gym today. When works best for you to watch the kids? Or when would be convenient for me to do that? So they don't necessarily feel like you're putting them out or you're asking something of them, but you're kind of negotiating.
Just to reinforce what you said, we know with physical activity, if we have an exercise partner, that's the person who's going to be active. So if we can find someone to walk with at noon at work, a neighbor to walk with at home, we're just much more likely to do it. I'm going to go for a walk because they told the person that I would meet them. So I'm not going to say, I got to fold some laundry, pay some bills. And it just makes it more enjoyable. And then you also hit on one of the strategies is there are certain foods that we really crave. Someone might really like chocolate ice cream, but they don't really care that much about vanilla ice cream. So one of the things I can say to my family is exactly what you're saying. Hey, look, I'm trying to be healthy. You all don't need to give up ice cream, but what if we just keep chocolate ice cream out of the house? Because I'm not going to crave the vanilla or the other flavors that we have. And I'm also back to that all or nothing thinking. Yes, when we go out to dinner, I will let myself have a bowl of chocolate ice cream, just not to bring it in the house.
Yeah.
So that's how we can negotiate with people we live with.
And I especially think that can be important when there are younger humans in the house, kids especially, because I wouldn't want a child to hear about dieting behaviors. I wouldn't want a child to hear about a parental figure necessarily even wanting to lose weight. I think that might be confusing for them. So turning it around to say, Mommy's trying to eat more fruits and vegetables, right? Or like, hey guys, I love that we do ice cream on Friday nights. I'm going to get the kid size, just to have a little bit of a intentionality with how you're speaking around, especially smaller people in your home, so that they don't absorb the quote dieting that you're doing. I know people hate that word, but the changes that you're making.
Totally agree. To not reinforce that I'm restricting my calories when we're around younger people or influence other people. Just when I have these foods, I have more energy. I feel better.
Yes. What are these foods doing for my body?
Yeah.
You see people who are pre and post bariatric surgery. That's a pretty major surgery and also obviously a major lifestyle change. How have you seen relationships change after something like dramatic weight loss or significant weight loss?
So yes, relationship changes. And it's so challenging to know, is it going to be a positive change or a negative change? I'll go with positive to start with. Maybe I'm really overweight and it's really difficult for me to move. My family, my spouse, my kids, they go for a hike every Sunday. But I'll go to the park with them, but then I'm on a bench. Well, now I've lost some weight. I'm more mobile. I can walk with them. We're just having a better time. We feel more connected. And so it's just a positive change for us. What if my significant other partner is my eating buddy and we used to go to buffets 3 times a week? Well, how does that impact our relationship if all of a sudden I say, you know what, I just can't go to the buffet with you anymore? Do we replace it with something else so we still have that time together? Or do we just, now we're not going out to dinner 3 nights a week anymore? So that could have a negative impact on a relationship.
We've talked a lot about partners and families playing a big role in our lives, but we obviously have to acknowledge that some people live alone or their partner just isn't going to necessarily be that person to support them on their journey. Where else can people find community?
So we need support. And if our partner isn't the supportive person, can I find a friend that could be supportive of me? Can I find a healthcare provider? And for some people, should I be looking at a professionally run group to join? And as you know, we both lead weight management groups to help people make changes and get the support. Without getting myself in too much trouble here, there does seem to be a gender difference here. When you ask men, and I haven't seen a survey yet with same-sex male or female couples, but if you ask a male, female, married man who their main support person is, who do you think they say?
Their wife.
Yes. Now you ask their wife.
I know where we're going here.
So again, a male-female couple, who their main support person is, who do they say?
Their best friend.
Best friend, sister, yeah, another woman in their life. And I'll talk about this in groups. And most of the guys will say, yeah, my wife is really supportive when I'm trying to make changes. And then women will say, yeah, my husband just doesn't get it. So let me think about who's in my life and who I can turn to for support.
I think you've seen people even build their own community. So I know people have met in your groups before. I know they've met in my groups before. I'm thinking of a gym. I'm thinking of other parents of your school-age children. Any other examples that you've seen of people building that community when they didn't feel like they had one?
So one thing that jumps to mind is our Wellness Champions program, which a lot of companies have. What a Wellness Champion program is, for people that don't know, it's just whatever type of business you're in. How can I help people in my work unit support each other for healthier living? And I've just seen really creative things. Like some work units have just said, hey, when we're doing potlucks, it's great because we connect, but let's challenge each other to bring in the healthiest dish instead of the most delicious dish. Giving back is a good resiliency strategy. So I've seen some of the groups say, well, let's all sign up for a 5K charity walk for this organization. And let's just start walking on Saturdays at this park for the next 3 months and try to build that way. So a lot of creativity and try to get people together to support each other for these changes.
I like that.
So as you start to build your support system, think about who you want on your team and who's best suited to play what role. Maybe your healthcare provider can help you with accountability, or your partner can help you with practical support, or your best friend can help you with emotional support. Just remember that you can't expect every person to play every role. But if you know how someone can fit in, try asking them if they'd be willing to support you in that way. And be as specific as you can about what would be helpful. And if the people in your immediate social circle aren't able to provide the support you need, there are other places you can look. You might be able to find a local walking group, a workplace wellness program, or even a professionally run support group. There's no right answer, so get creative, explore, and see what works for you. Now, while some people can be amazingly supportive, other people might throw some challenges our way, even if their intentions are good. So let's talk about tackling some sticky situations.
So we've been talking about people who are supportive, but there are also people who are not so much, let's say. Let's talk strategies for navigating some tricky people in situations. So we talked about partners a bit already, but what if one partner is committing to a lifestyle change and the other isn't really showing their support? So I've heard this a million times, Dr. Clark. My partner is not on board. I'm trying to eat healthier. I'm trying to exercise, and my partner keeps eating the same. They keep bringing the same foods in the home. They still want to go out for pizza. How do we navigate that kind of situation?
When you figure that out, you can let me know.
You're the psychologist. I wanted you to figure it out.
I'll give you a couple of thoughts. And it's interesting too, right? If you know both spouses over time. Like last year, I was trying to give up pizza and she kept bringing pizza home. And now this year, she's saying, well, I'm trying to give up pizza and he keeps bringing pizza home. So sometimes we're just back to what we're talking about. Sometimes people are just ready to change at different points.
Mm-hmm.
But if we live with someone, their eating habits really influence us. So the example you gave before, if we can come up with some kind of compromise. I'm not expecting you to be on a health journey just because I am, but don't bring ice cream in the house because I'm an ice cream person. Have your potato chips. I don't care about salty, crunchy foods. So we could work a compromise like that. But one of the things I always think about is assertiveness. And this is the DESC model. And the D is for just describe. And a lot of times when it's our significant other person, we're pretty frustrated. So it's just like, how many times do I have to tell you?
Like, you should know. You should be able to read my mind. Have we not been married for 20 years now?
So the D is not to get into how they have no insight. D is just describe. When you bring out ice cream in the house, effect, I really crave it. And then end up overeating. And then I just find it really difficult to get back on track. So the S is specify. So I just really appreciate it if you didn't bring ice cream into the house anymore. Consequences that would help me stay on my weight loss journey. And I also would just feel supported by you. Just because we're assertive doesn't mean the person will respond, but it increases the likelihood. And if we're aggressive, I hate you every time you bring ice cream in the house. Well, that's probably not going to work. And if I'm unassertive, I don't say anything, they're going to keep bringing ice cream into the house.
Yeah.
So if we can practice assertiveness, it at least increases the likelihood that we get the support that we're looking for.
We're giving them some detail around the situation, hopefully for them to understand, because silly up until this point, they just haven't gotten it yet. And that's a great model. What about, I don't know if food pushers is a very polite term, but I think it's one that people get. Can't you just have one beer? It's my birthday. Can't we just have a piece of cake? Or it's just one slice of pizza. I don't know if this is a form of sabotage or a form of love, or they're just not understanding that you're taking it seriously. How do we tackle, quote, food pushers?
Like in my mind, why are you asking me if I want seconds on dessert? And why are you telling me, I know this is your favorite dessert. I spent all last night making it for you. I
Hmm.
stayed up till 3 a.m. What do you mean you're not going to have a second piece? And then I feel like if I reject the extra food, somehow I'm rejecting our relationship or saying
Yeah,
I
or the
just don't want to
person.
be friends. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's a tough one. So part of it is I think some people just don't have the insight because we all eat. So we just don't see that we all have different relationships with food and different goals with food. So we just kind of assume that whatever I'm doing is what you must be doing. But other people, yeah, there is sabotaging. Siblings, I've always weighed less than you. I'm not sure I want you to be weighing less than me.
Oh,
Yeah.
how do we handle those kind of people if we have a feeling that jealousy is at the core?
Two things. One is just to try to be assertive. When you ask me for the fifth time, do I want dessert? It really makes me crave it. Eventually, going to say yes. And then I'm just going to fall apart for 2 weeks. So I just really appreciate you supporting me. Some people change, some people won't. And so what I want to do is just say, no, thank you. Keep it short after I've explained.
Hmm.
And then make sure I'm interacting with my positive people.
Yeah. Can you move away physically?
Well, when people describe a family gathering, there's always somebody there that they identify as, yes, this person's very supportive. They understand it. Reach out to them, connect with them,
Yeah.
tell them, let's sit together when we sit down for the meal. Let's go for a walk during the break. Take advantage of the positive people.
Or can you put a piece in a Tupperware for me and I would love to bring it home? No, thank you. I'm full. But can you send one home with me? Then you can do whatever you want with it. You don't have to tell your Aunt Betty.
One of the things I found with weight management, everybody has an opinion.
Welcome to my life, Dr. Clark. Yes.
Yeah. Here's the diet you should follow. Here's the exercise program. And everybody feels that their opinion is the best opinion in the universe.
It's like religion. You will offend someone if you don't agree with them.
Yes. And different approaches are going to work for different people. So just because counting calories worked for me, that doesn't mean you shouldn't look at portions. Just because going to the gym worked for me, that doesn't mean you shouldn't count your steps and go for a walk. So people have pretty strong opinions about all of this.
They sure do. Look at the internet, Dr. Clark. Strong is a kind word. What about people who essentially say you don't need to change? Like, oh, Matt, I love you how you are. You don't need to lose weight. Do you have any advice?
To start positive, thank you for appreciating for who I am.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
But here's a goal that I have, because I think if I become more active, I'll have more energy. I think if I become more active, my stress level will go down. Sometimes I can say, you know what? I've just learned when I eat healthier, I'm just in a better mood. My energy's better. Quality of life is better. So please support me. Thank you for liking me for who I am, but I am trying to improve my quality of life.
I honestly think this is also a rationale for not having a weight goal. So for not saying I want to lose 40 pounds, but to say I want to improve my A1C. Not saying I want to reach 130, I want to run a 10K. Because I don't think a lot of people will argue with your goal of improved health or improved activity. But when you have a weight goal, I think there's a little bit more argument of why would you need to weigh that? But no one's going to say, like, why do you need your A1C to be normal? Well, like, duh. I think people would get that one a lot faster.
Yes, and lots of opinions, like whatever goal weight you express to somebody, half the people it's going to be too low, half the people it's going to be too high. Maybe 1 in a million is going to say, oh, that makes perfect sense to me. How can I support you?
So you were talking about the opinions. So ultimate test is holidays, social gatherings. So we have people who might not be supportive. We have unsolicited opinions. We have some potentially even food triggers. What are your tips for navigating those social situations where food is really, honestly, like the main focus of the event? Welcome to the Midwest.
So different situations have triggers. One trigger for people is just social.
Mm-hmm.
We just tend to eat more when we're around people that we care about. And also some people will food push on us. So the social triggers. There's mood triggers. Maybe every time my family gets together, old stressors come up. So I got some stress eating on Thanksgiving. Hunger can be a trigger. usually I have lunch at noon, but we're having our main meal at 3. So I skip my lunch. So I'm hungry. Environmental, right? There's just this amazing amount of food out. It's all my favorite foods. Oh, and then my thoughts, right? These are foods I grew up with. They make me feel good. They're my comfort food. So we have all these triggers. So how do I manage that? Sometimes people have successfully had discussions with their family, or it could be friends gathering for like a Friendsgiving. I'm just trying to eat healthy. So you know what? We're all supposed to bring a dish. So I'm just going to bring a dish so I can do that. I also ask people to think about how long am I going to be around food? So I get there, there's snacks out. I start watching the football game, there's snacks out. There's dinner. We're sitting around the table for 3 hours. We're all talking. So is there some way I can limit that? Maybe I'm hosting, so maybe I just have the snacks in the kitchen. If you're watching the football game, yeah, you can go in and grab some snacks, but at least they're not around.
Go
If we're
help with the
playing,
dishes.
great idea. And then a lot of times I find with family gatherings, I saw everybody, but I saw nobody. Right? You
Yeah.
didn't really catch up with anybody.
Yes, I agree with that.
So sometimes what can help, if it's a nice day, my cousin just started a new job, haven't seen him for a while. Hey, let's just go for a walk. Now I'm getting the physical activity in. I'm away for a little bit, but I'm also building that social connection. So there's
Mhm.
lots of benefits for it. And then I learned this from patients. Some people have said, you know what? If I just know there's one person in that gathering that knows what my goals are and supportive of me, if I just go over to them sometime during this 6 hours eating fest and we just say, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, doing all right. That's just so meaningful for the person.
Yeah.
So having a few support people can be real helpful.
I think Thanksgiving is an excellent example, though, of unsolicited advice, especially if you're around people who know that you're aiming to make a health change. Like, do you want to know what I saw on TikTok today? Do you want to know what I watched on TV or what I read in the newspaper? Do you have a script for us? I would actually love this personally for how to broach the topic of thanks for your advice. I didn't really ask for it.
As we said before, right? This is something everybody's got a strong opinion about and they know the correct answer. So it's a family member because I'm at Thanksgiving. Thanks for letting me know what worked for you. Appreciate the information, but I'm trying to figure out what plan is going to work for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. Period. Right? Like, we don't have to necessarily engage. It's like, oh, I hadn't heard of that before. Period. But just moving on. Tell me about your new job. Change the subject.
One of the resources I go to is the American Psychological Association. Every year they do a different survey. I think it was November of 2024. And a number of people were saying they weren't going to go to family gatherings because they were afraid that people would be like throwing food back and forth at each other at the Thanksgiving meal. So in there, one of the strategies they recommend is, hey, let's just have an agreement. Politics is off topic. We can talk sports, weather,
Mm-hmm.
business. So it seems to me that kind of decision also about, hey, let's not talk about dieting approaches at a Thanksgiving meal. Just
I
doesn't
love
seem
that.
the right time to talk about it.
Well, and we also want to be mindful of not inadvertently projecting our diet mindset, let's say, onto other people. What if there are kids around? What if there is someone with a history of disordered eating around? So I would like everyone to follow that rule, unless you're in like a very small setting. And you can even say, like, is it okay if we talk about X, right? Like, we can talk about drinking or food or exercise, but it's never a bad thing to just ask if it's okay, because you don't know how any kind of topic is going to impact someone.
Agreed. And then also, depending upon what my health concerns are, what healthy living program is going to work for me is going to be different.
Yeah. And I feel like this could even be a conversation when we have very set routines with people, like friends that you always play poker and drink beer with, or friends that you always get coffee with at work. Even just, I think, switching up the environment in which we socialize can be huge, because so much of what we do socially is associated with food and or drink.
One of the things I talk about in my groups is, if you tell me your food relationship with someone, I know what your emotional relationship with them is. And people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, so I'm new at work. So I got to sit over in the corner where everyone else is at the cool kids table. We have no food relationship. Been here a month. I'm allowed to come over to the cool kid table. Been here 3 months. Now I get invited out to lunch. people we know really well, they've been to our house for dinner. I've been to their house for dinner. When you think of like your food relationship with someone, it's kind of your emotional relationship.
Like I eat off my husband's plate because I know that he's okay with that and we're married. What's he going to do about it?
Yeah.
He's consented. It's okay, everyone. But I like that. That's fascinating, Dr. Clark.
So I think most people, when I talk about this, they're like, yeah, like, right. So this fits into one of the traps too. So I got friends that I get beer and burgers with all the time. Well, I'm trying to give that up. So guess what? I just don't go out anymore. I don't ask them to change. I don't change it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 5 weeks later, I'm lonely. And so I just start going out for beer and burgers again. Could I have a conversation with that group of people and say, hey, what if we meet and walk? What if we meet and have coffee somewhere? So trying to change the situation so I still get that social support, but I'm not getting that exposure to a high-risk eating situation.
Let's go golfing.
Yeah.
And not get beer from the Bev Cart girl. But yeah. I think a lot of what we've talked about, Dr. Clark, is setting boundaries. Do you have any overall advice for setting boundaries with people that you're close to, especially when it's matters of health or even things that you don't want to discuss, right? We're assuming that everyone's open to discussing their health goals, but you don't have to be, and some people may not be.
The term we've used for this is disclosure. What do I want to tell you about my health and what I'm trying to do? And how often do we want to talk about it? And people are so different on this, so it's not right or wrong. So I also work in our cancer center. If someone was just diagnosed with cancer, some people, they want to tell everybody at work. They want to get a church group praying for them. They want to tell everybody. If that's what you think is going to work, do that. Other people are like, I'm afraid if I say something at work, I might not get that promotion I'm up with. If I tell a family member, they're all going to get stressed out. So first is just making what works for you. When I walk into Thanksgiving, do I want everybody to say, hey, how's your diet going? There's a few people like that, not many. Or do I just want people to know, let's just certainly not make this a conversation at the big family dinner.
How's your prostate? Right, if you want.
Great dinner table conversation.
Sorry.
Humor is good.
Dr. Clark, thank you so much for your time today. You're everyone's favorite psychologist. And I just want to say thanks for sharing your knowledge with us.
Appreciated us working together. Miss you in group.
Miss you too. Thanks, Dr. Clark.
Almost everyone has an opinion about your health, what changes you should be making, and how. But it's up to you how much you want to share with people around you and what boundaries you want to set. If it's someone you live with, be assertive using the DESC model. Describe, affect, specify, consequences. This can help you communicate and hopefully help them understand your perspective. With some people in your life, it might make sense to explain your health goal in terms that are hard to argue with, like improving your energy, your mood, or even your A1C. And with other folks, it might work better to just not engage. But if you know you're going into a tough social situation, see if you can make a plan to avoid the most challenging aspects, like physically separating yourself from the snack table and going outside with a loved one. Or see if you can have a support person to check in with you. With a little strategic planning, hopefully you can make your next family gathering a little less challenging, at least when it comes to food. Helping you avoid family drama might not be your area of expertise. That's all for this episode, but if you have a follow-up question, leave us a voicemail at 507-538-6272, and we'll answer it in a future episode. On the next episode of On Nutrition, nutrition during pregnancy.
We really don't know why morning sickness happens. Fingers crossed it'll be just part of the first trimester, but unfortunately some women suffer longer than the first 12 weeks.
For more On Nutrition episodes and resources, check us out online at mayoclinic.org/onnutrition. And if you found this show helpful, please subscribe and make sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. It really helps others find our show. Thanks for listening. And until next time, eat well and be well.